Pleasant morning to all of us. Kamusta kayong lahat? My fellow workers at SEI, to our resource person, Mr. Junil Medina, and most especially to our participants who come from various regions of the country. So, kumusta naman ang panahon dyan sa kinalalagyan ninyo? Here at Taguig, it's a bit rainy. I think may bagyo yata. So I'd like to thank you for responding to our invitation to this webinar entitled Promoting Collaboration in InFlex Modality, Insights and Challenges for Mathematics Education. So what do you think is InFlex Modality? So we hope to learn about this concept as well as its challenges for mathematics education. This online forum is brought to you by the Project STAR, or Science Teacher Academy for the Regions of the Science Education Institute, Department of Science and Technology. STAR is a teaching and learning community that offers STEM teacher trainees all over the country. But with the pandemic, we shifted to conduct webinars so we can continuously give you updates on STEM education. We're expecting a total of 100 math teachers, preferably grades 5 to 6 up to junior high school. And we're still waiting for some of them. Around 40 have already signed up. So I wish that you find this forum valuable to you as a professional and hope that learnings may be applied to your teaching journey, especially in this time of pandemic. At the end of the webinar, we have a few assessment questions for you to answer. Simple questions to gauge your understanding of this webinar. Also, there will be question and answer portion at the end of the talk where you may express your views, opinions, or questions, or even express your questions, write down your questions or concerns at the chat box. So I'll not keep this long. We hope to engage you until the end of this webinar. May you have a fruitful day webinar. So magandang umaga ulit sa ating lahat. So at this point, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our resource person is Mr. Junil B. Medina from the Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology. He completed his Master of Science Education, major in secondary mathematics at the Mindanao State University, also in Iligan. He completed it in 2019, and he had his Bachelor of Secondary Education, also major in mathematics, also at the same university, summa cum laude, and also he was the class valedictorian. He's currently an instructor at the College of Education of MSU IIT, where he instructs pre-service teachers in various mathematics education courses, professional education courses, and educational science courses. He's also a part-time staff or volunteer at the Philippine Foundation of Christ's Youth in Action, where the main branch is in Manila, and there's a chapter in Iligan. He, as a part-time staff or volunteer, he takes leadership in various student trainings, and he facilitates planning and execution of events. He mentors student leaders on various personal and leadership skills. Um, a resource person is very young, but he has a lot of accomplishments already in his name. He has been a favorite resource person of STAR trainings of DOST SEI, a long list of STAR trainings, especially in mathematics. He has been also a resource person of various trainings hosted by the Department of Education as well as other professional associations. Among his research activities are he was able to present poster and paper in various conventions and conferences. And in fact, in last June 14, 2016, John Neal and his group was awarded the Best Paper Award at the MSU-IIT Search for College of Education Best Paper uh, academic year 2015 to 2016 at MSU-IIT in Iligan. The title of the paper presented was Development and Validation of Lesson Plans for Grade 9 Mathematics Utilizing Problem-Solving Approach, where Junil was the author together with Gerald Bataduna and Joanne Rose Louis. So today, it is an honor to have with us today um, a resource person to talk about promoting collaboration in influx modality, insights and challenges for mathematics education. Folks, Joniel Medina.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Cynthia, for such a generous introduction. Good morning, everyone. Hi, kumusta kayong lahat? Um, for all you know, though I work in Iligan City, I am right now in Surigao del Sur. So kaway-kaway sa mga taga Surigao del Sur dyan. Ayan. All right, so before starting, allow me to share my screen. Ayan po. Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yes, Sir Janil.
Okay, thank you. All right, so ayan. Welcome everyone to the STAR webinar series, and I thank you for joining us with this forum today. And I am so honored to be part of the resource persons for this webinar series. And to tell you honestly, I'm quite nervous right now because among the roster of resource persons, it would seem that I am the youngest among them. And I guess my confidence lies on how supportive STAR is in really trying to reach out to our teachers. And I am hoping, my dear teachers, that this sharing of experience of mine will give you insights on probably how to reach out to our students even more in this time of the pandemic. So the title of this presentation is Promote Collaboration in InFlex Modality. So I would be presenting very young students. Actually, we started our classes in MSU IIT, where I teach just last September 2. And this experience is based on my teaching in the new normal. And so here goes. So the parts of the presentation is the following. We would want to revisit the goals of the mathematics education, and we try to zoom in two particular skills that I wish to address in this trying times by presenting to you what are we doing in our college. And so we're gonna pick up some insights on the local researches, and then we'd like to present to you my approach and how I did promote collaboration. And of course, I wanna also listen to the students' experience of their challenges and insights, and then we conclude the whole session. All right, so are you ready? Can you give me a thumbs up if you are ready? Ayan, a virtual thumbs up naman if you know how to give virtual thumbs up in Zoom. Ayan, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. All right, so now that I know that we are ready, so let's dive in. So first and foremost, we want to revisit the goals of mathematics education because as I've experienced, us are already very focused on the new normal and how to deliver it. And sometimes we get sidetracked on what is important, especially if we are so overwhelmed with a lot of challenges, the modules, the printing, how do we reach our student, all of that. And so I made a point in my presentation that we want to revisit and refocus ourselves on what is the goal of mathematics education. So if you are STAR participants before, and if you are not, this is always how we start our trainings in STAR. That is to revisit the goal of the mathematics education in the Philippines. We are very familiar already with the mathematics framework that is present in our curriculum guides. Of course, as teachers, we want to always bank on that because this is our goal as teachers. However, there is also a document by DOST, SEI, and MathTED uh, released in 2011 that the overarching, I don't know how to pronounce that, but the overarching goal of mathematics education is mathematical empowerment. And mathematical empowerment, according to DOST, SEI, and MathTED 2011, is the capacity to allow the students, our learners, to be mathematically empowered to function very critically in our society as Filipinos. And so this is the core of why we address or why we would want our students in math develop critical thinking and problem solving because of mathematical empowerment. So if you why do we have critical thinking? Why do we have critical thinking and problem solving as the core of our goal in math ed? Because if we want to zoom out, we started incorporating the development of the 21st century skills by late 2000s. Now we are made aware of the reality of the need to develop 21st century skills. And it is from here that we get that the core goal of mathematics education. So it is from the 21st century skills framework. So according to P21, there are four major strands or groupings of skills that are interlinked or intertwined. These are life and career skills. We have learning and innovation skills, information, media, and technology skills, and the core subjects and the 21st century themes. Now, so these are, allow me to correct myself. There are three major strands of skills: life and career skills, learning and innovation, and we have information, media, and technology skills. And for us in education, we are so concerned about learning and innovation skills. So if you can still remember, in the pillar of education, this is learning how to learn. No? So this is one of the pillars of education as well. And in the four C's, if you can see, two of which in the core of four C's for education is collaboration and communication. So we can surmise, therefore, by the definitions of the 21st century skills framework, that communication and collaboration are actually deeply connected to both creativity and critical thinking. And so what I am trying to point out here is that communication and collaboration is as important as trying to reach the goal of developing critical thinking and problem solving to our students, because these are deeply intertwined with our core goal in mathematics. And so according to the P21, the organization who espoused the 21st century framework or skills framework, while the graphic represents each element distinctly for descriptive purposes, the partnership, the P21 organization, views that all the components as fully interconnected in the process of the 21st century learning and teaching. And so all these are, that's why addressing one to the other promotes the development of the other skills as well. At least that's how I understand the framework as it is. Now, why communication and collaboration? Communication and collaboration is very important as presented a while ago. Now let us define a little bit on what is communication. As of this moment in the new normal, we are forced, we teachers are forced to learn to communicate to our students in mostly in digital, no, in digital areas, because we cannot face them, no, we cannot face them unless we will do um, home visitations, and all of that. But we are really forced to communicate to them, to reach out to them at a distance. So digital communication at this point in our teaching career is also very important. So let us kind of define that. Digital communication is information exchanged electronically, so via messages, via video calls, like web conferences like this. So these are a part of digital communication. No, communication is key in any type of collaboration. With these tools, and these tools can facilitate collaboration with peers, both in classroom and across the globe. So this is coming from Intel Education Transforming Learning, which is digital learning fundamentals. So digital communication at this point in our teaching careers are very important for us to grasp on, because this is how we are communicating with our students, and our students communicating with one another and interacting basically, in the new normal. And why do we have to promote? Why do we have to promote this digital communication and collaboration? Because this purpose of promoting digital communication and collaboration is for the students to achieve more. That is a student achievement, and of course to develop the other 21st century skills. We want to promote global citizenship and cross-cultural connections. And we want to also see, as you have heard from the other webinar resource persons of the STAR webinar series, that learning is also a social experience. That's why we don't want to isolate our students. So we would still want, despite the physical separation of our students, we would want still that learning is a social experience. And of course, through digital communication and collaboration, we would want that our students would develop a deeper content understanding. So I think many of you are already familiar that in the STAR trainings, this is our goal as well, for the students to really have deeper content understanding. That's why we promote strategies that would let them think, higher order thinking skills. We would want them to create, to synthesize, and achieve the higher order thinking skills. And so with all of that being said, I am basically building an argument to say that um, we still need to pursue the development of these skills, collaboration and communication, even with the pandemic. So now, with that being established, with that argument being in place, let us try to answer the question: how do we promote collaboration then? Now, sir, our students are separated from one another, that our students have difficulty in connecting to the internet and all of that. Yes, these things are being taken into consideration, but I hope that in my presentation, in the following slides, you will take insights instead of taking it at face value, um, thinking first of the lack of the resources and all of that. So let us try to try to see on my context and how did I do it in the InFlex modality. So probably most of you are asking, what is InFlex? So even Mom Cynthia made mention that she's confused and of what InFlex would mean. And so at this point, let's try to define that. All right, so what is InFlex modality? So InFlex basically is a combination of two words. One, innovative, and the other is flexible. So if you wanna say that completely, InFlex means innovative, flexible modality. So innovative and flexible teaching and learning modality is basically kind of a brand of the modality that our institution is in endorsing and doing in our institute. So what is InFlex? InFlex basically is a combination of a lot of things, no? And in particular, it focuses on um, learner success. According to the framework that is proposed by our institution, it focuses on the learner success by giving relevant, engaging, achievable, clear, and holistic activities centered about collaboration. And this collaboration would put primer on the flexibility and, of course, our students' welfare. Now, of course, if you want to go to the teaching component, innovative and flexible teaching would mean to the ability of us, the teachers, to tailor fit, synchronous, and asynchronous learning activities, considering the students' varied access to technology and other relevant resources. And so innovative and flexible teaching and learning modality is basically centered on that. Because we consider that our students in the tertiary level, we are trying to address their access to resources and at the same time technology, and we would want to tailor fit our approach on those regards. So this is what innovative and flexible teaching and learning is about. So Yan, so I hope that it clarifies what InFlex is. What happens in modality? So this is what happens in InFlex modality. One, we train the teachers for InFlex modality, including preparation of materials and the platform. So in our institution, we have a platform. This is a learning management system that is both open source, but at the same time, it is tailor fit for our use as well. So basically the same as you, I think the DepEd also launched a series of webinars for you to develop materials to be given to the students, how to develop these modules, these e-resources. Even some of you are actually trained on how to make ebooks and digital resources to be given to the students. In the same manner, we in the tertiary level also given that kind of training. And so these digital materials we will be arranging and uploaded or linked in the school's learning management system. So I think the same as you in the DepEd, but in the DepEd you to maximize equity. So you opted to print modules delivered to the students. So in MSUIT, in my institution, we are also thinking about that. If there are really students who cannot access digital materials, we can we can still send by means of couriers to them these modules that we actually made. So this is what InFlex modality looks like. And the students then, considering their access to resources and technology, they are categorized according to what they can access. But there is a minimum requirement. So what is the minimum requirement for them? The minimum requirement is that they would have to for a while they would have to uh, have a smartphone at least for communication and at least intermittent data connection. Di naman necessary na all the time they have access to internet. No? At least once in a while. No? So at least siguro once a week they can have access to data. So that's the minimum requirement that we've set for our students. So despite that, we still have a lot of challenges. But in whole, that's what InFlex modality looks like. Now, jumping into so how did I try and work my way out to reaching out to my students to promote collaboration in this kind of modality? So the first thing that I did, so allow me to present first a disclaimer. So this experience is situated in the tertiary education. So we are dealing with college students and all of that. But it may not be totally relevant to many of you since you are teaching in the DepEd, but the insights taken from the local researchers and the strategies are all centered on high school students, and it can be applicable to late or intermediate elementary grade students as well. So what I hope to achieve in sharing this experience is that these insights may inspire you to do more innovations in your respective areas. So that's the goal. That's the goal of my the presentation. So let's now answer the question: how do we promote? How do we promote collaboration and communication in this particular context? So what I did is that I took local researches from my own locality. So from master students, from undergraduate students, basically just to pull insights and strategies that I approach collaboration, despite the fact that we are not going to school, physically. So what I did is I took three sources. One from a research on project-based learning, and two other sources from that is centered on collaboration or collaborative problem solving. So these are the sources of the insights. So one is co-authored by me and one of my colleagues. I think he is here with us. They can help answer questions regarding the research if there are questions. So Sir Raf, and of course my mentor, Dr. Buwan. That is on interdisciplinary contextualized project-based learning. So this is one area of research that I took insights from. And then another is coming from my own thesis. So the development of collaborative problem solving skill. It's a lot of tongue twister stuff, but the core is that we would want to develop a collaboration uh, along problem solving. So combining them together, we have collaborative problem solving. So that's another concept that's where I'm getting my insights from. And finally, from another research of a colleague, application patterns in CPS or collaborative problem solving. So all of these stuff together, we're gonna pull the best from them and then come up with an approach which I call modular projects. Basically, it's basic project making, but with elements from these researchers. So let's what elements are. So first, this from the first research, interdisciplinary contextualized project-based learning, what I took from it is that the characteristics of what makes project-based learning, or PBL. I think many of you are already familiar with PBL. These kind of approaches used in STEM, in science curriculums, and of course science investigatory projects. These are a form of PBL or project-based learning, where students are engaged in contextualized and relevant projects, which can encourage deeper learning of the concepts. So these are the characteristics of PBL. One, there is a driving question. So this is the big question that the students will answer. And then they will have to do inquiry. So they will search for sources, try to make discourse, ask the big questions. I mean, smaller questions, because there is already the driving question, which is the bigger one. And of course, they would collaborate with their peers and with experts and with the teachers as well. So there is collaboration across the stakeholders that is involved. Of course, we also have technology tools involved because they need that. And finally, we have the creation of artifacts. And so those are the elements that I took from the first research, and then from it incorporated another insights from collaborative problem solving, communication patterns research, which is to emphasize two components of the CPS: problem solving skills and then social skills. And finally, I took the recommended classroom policies from San Pablo, which is to identify the abilities of learners, group learners according to abilities, and then assign roles, guide learners in decision making. Teacher would monitor progress and peer evaluation. These are policies recommended from research, and then applied it to the whole context of the project so that I can promote collaborations. Basically, this classroom policies right here that you see is the set of policies that is recommended so that I can promote effective collaboration among my students. So now the end result is I have a modular collaborative, which is composed basically of the PBL characteristics embedded with the elements of collaboration. So this is very theoretical in my approach. I apologize for that, but we will try to see the experience of the students later in the later slides. So let's just get on and see how these elements are present in the so-called modular collaborative projects. By the way, in MSCIT, we are also using modules or learning guides in instructing our students. So I think this is not very different from how DepEd is approaching the teaching learning modality of these days. So again, is my okay. So these are collaborative projects. So we have first, we have the InFlex learning guides or modules to be given by the students, accessible by the students. And then we also have the learning management system. The students are categorized, purposely organized into what I call study groups. Study groups later on will be defining that in detail and how study groups work and how study groups are actually supporting the students to be able to collaborate to one another. And so students collaborate with one another by communicating with various platforms. So as you can see, I'm exploring a lot of platforms just so I can reach my students. I tried messaging, I tried Messenger, I tried Facebook, email, our learning management system. And if you are aware, there is an emerging platform that is so crazy on the students right now, which is called Discord. Discord is a community forum platform that is supposedly used by gamers before. But now our students are flocking there. So I have to learn what Discord is and try to engage my students in that platform as well. So basically my role as a teacher in this whole mechanism for the modular collaboration project is basically establish these virtual class hours for consultations and other queries. And I also establish both synchronous and asynchronous channels. So synchronous, that means that they can have me real time, no? They can have my attention real time. So this is what virtual class hours are intended. So in this particular hour of the day, you can call me, you can text me, you can do whatever query you want, no? So you can have consultations with me by group or individual. You can do that. And in asynchronous, we have a thread in our FB group where they can just simply post and comment their questions, and then anytime. And then on the virtual class hours, I'll be going there to answer those questions one by one. So this is the mechanism for the whole modular projects that I am talking about. Now, what's inside the learning guide? So let's explore that. So in the InFlex learning guides, this is basically the flow. No, this is the flow of the module that we give to the students. First, we describe to them what is the intended learning outcome. So it's very clear there as stipulated what's the action or the skill that they have to develop, and then the artifact to be produced, and of course the context of which they produce the artifact. So that's the learning outcome. No, that's the formulation of the learning outcome. So as you can see, there is the highlight of the creation of artifact that is coming from the PBL. No, so dapat na agad sila produce na something. So that's what a PBL is. No, and then embedded also in that in this intended learning outcome is the big question. No? The big question: how would they develop the artifact? And then, of course, break down to objectives, to doable parts, so focusing on the knowledge and skills, and of course, the materials that are given to them, readings, suggested YouTube videos and websites. And then there are instructions as to what they are to take, no, the steps. And then the module is combined with individual activities and collaborative activities. Why is that? Because from one research, no, that is authored by Sir Gerson, Sir Raf Managing. No, he investigated individual solving situations and then to collaborative problem solving situations, and found out that although there is no difference, having a good mix of individual and collaborative activities would promote the skills, no, better than focusing purely on individual or focusing purely on the collaborative. And so this module would also adapt that kind of strategy, that is combination individual collaborative tasks. So in this individual and individual tasks, reflection, reading exercises, and finally for the collaboration, they would it is where they will do their project. And they're supported in module by giving them templates and expected artifacts so that they would know exactly what are our. So that's what the module looks like. Now, the mechanism then for getting to function is study groups and communication channels. Study groups based on the categories, so organized into study groups where every study group is homogeneous. So, ibig sabihin po, in each group, there should be at least one that is C3. Pag sinabi natin C3 is complete access to technology tools. C2, at saka 1, having difficulty. No? Having difficulty accessing those technology and resources. Each group has 3 members. So at least for some, my C1, my C2, Tsaka yung iba naman, may C2, tsaka C3, tsaka C2 at tsaka C1. So at least lahat sila, there should be at least one who has complete access to technology. So yun. Now, in this particular group, those persons na access, they will be one to be as persons that. So these persons will initiate the conversations in the group kasi siya may access sa technology, and then the one or she's the one who holds accountability for groupmates kasi siya naman yung may access for technology. So siya yung gatherer tsaka parang the one to basically cover that. Then these communication channels then are the channels by which they can communicate with one another. So as I explained a while ago, we explored SMS, yung text, F group. As mentioned, what we did is that for us to promote collaboration, we would want to establish a lot of communication channels so that we can reach where our students are. So we explored SMS, Messenger, Facebook groups, emails, our LMS in MSU IIT, we call it Mole. And of course, even trying to learn Discord at this time. So the student or intra-study group interaction, the student-teacher, and the whole class communication happens on various communication channels, not just on one. Because as we learned a while ago, that communication is prerequisite to collaboration. So dapat our communication channels would be robust, and of course with our students. So afternoons will be on Zoom with live streaming on FB Live, and then our will be on our which has a weekly update thread. No, so I will picture, and then that picture would be the one would be indicated that they can comment any concerns on that particular week. So rooms from these are mechanisms to promote communication to our students, and these are very important to have them collaborate with one another. Okay, now that we have that, experience. Experience is I assigned this modular to my students just a few weeks ago. I think it's 2 weeks ago. Yeah, around that time. I made them. I had readings, so I have explained later, and they have exercises, and then finally, they have the project. Now, this is what their outputs are. So their outputs is basically to analyze a particular how numbers are, how numbers develop. So they delved into different parts of the early number systems. So they mapped the development into the particulars of a number system, and these are their outputs. No, there are outputs that are very good. There are outputs that are not so good as well, but nevertheless they produced. They produce the artifact that is expected of them, and they're able to do it on a purely in a purely digitalized collaborative atmosphere. They did not meet face to face, but they're able to produce it, my dear teachers. So let's try to look into how the students are. How are the students are in that particular approach that I tried. I experimented on them. So these are the students' mechanism for decision-making collaboration, digital platforms. So one case, what I call is additive. I think this is very common. Even when we are doing face-to-face, even us, when we collaborate, we usually do this. We assign individual tasks and then set schedule. And then there will be a member who would give the first draft, or the initial output, and then all the members just add. Ako mag-add ako ng output ko, assigned sa akin. This is the assigned to me, so I'm just gonna put it there and let it fit a little bit. And then another member adds, and then another member adds, and then finally the final output is produced. Sabi ko, wow, So pwede pala yan, So the students can do that, So that they can produce the output collaboratively. They can do that, Even if case one would, if you look case one, it's not really collaboration, simply just the adding, no? But nevertheless, we are not expecting a perfect collaboration in the first try. So yeah, okay, so that's another one case, no? This is one case na nangyari to my students. So it's possible, no? It's possible. Case 2, eto naman si case 2, may mga student leaders na nagsa-stand up. So they basically had a goal in mind, what to do, and then do it from there. So I call this case goal-oriented. By the way, I made this, I made all of these inquiries in just a few days ago. So I'll just ask them a few questions. How do you do decision making in your groups? So there are volunteers who share their experience. Di naman lahat. So this is not exhaustive. So I don't know some other cases na pwede nangyari on their particular groups. But on the case 2, one point person would discuss the task. Then he or she would set the goals and then the deadlines, and then assign the roles and tasks based on resources. Now this is very consensuous and very mindful of the cases of other classmates. They calculate the task and then group together evaluates and finally output. That's case 2. No? So, nangyari pa rin yung collaboration. And then case 3, may tinatawag akong consultative kasi every turn of the collaboration effort, nagko-consult. So ito nangyari sa kanila. If I'm volunteer to do a task, i-assign daw. Tapos kung wala, which is very common for Filipinos, na hindi talaga tayo nagvo-volunteer for a certain task. No? So ang ginawa nila is that they draw lots. So pagka-draw nila ng lots, so the individual members then submit the task on a particular schedule. Tapos, every time the individual member submits a task, the group evaluates. So kaya nga parang consultative kasi I cannot submit it as a group, part of the group output pag hindi approved ng lahat ng group members. So parang ganun. So nagre-revise sila individually, tapos nag-calculate ng task, saka pa yung final output. So these are cases na that can happen. We try to have them do collaborative project across digital platforms. So ito yung mga successful cases. So far, wala namang unsuccessful kasi they're able to produce the output desired. Pero they're able to note that there is a change, no? There is a change in the teacher's role, and later on in their impressions, you can see na talagang the teacher is no longer there, no? Not so much already. So nangyari sa modular project is that the teacher naging instructor talaga, no? Because nagbibigay lang si teacher ng instructions. No more, no less. As long as the instructions are clear and it is clarified in the guidance and supervising role of the teacher. So the teacher then guides the students in their confusion. One student particularly said that si Sir daw is call center for clarification. So para bang call center na lang, ako yung naging call center for clarification sa project nila. So that's the roles teacher. Tapos they attributed that this is made possible because the teacher is understanding and approachable. So very necessary talaga siya to open channels of communication to our students and of course to encourage them to do the same with their peers. Pero may mga challenges pa rin. Challenges, number 1, yung LMS namin. No, ang learning management system namin, technically, may mga errors talaga. No? Sometimes na-overwhelm, di sila nakakapag-upload ng kanilang submissions and all of that. Pero those are technical. So hindi ko ma-address masyado, pero it's there. It's a problem. Second major problem is the internet. No? Malaking problem yung internet kasi there are a lot of places in Mindanao, especially in Mindanao, the provinces. No, I think nakaka-relate kayo sa problema ko na many of our students really don't even have signal, no, like mobile signals. Wala talaga, and they have this intermittent power outage, especially in Mindanao. So like the likes of Zamboanga, and there are students there, no. May mga estudyante kami doon, no, in Zamboanga or there that area na nagdi-discuss sila tapos bigla nag-power outage tapos walang wifi or whatever. So nawawala talaga. That's another problem. The next problem that my students are experiencing is schedule. Kasi they have household activities. No, they have different routines. So they're not yet adapted to the InFlex modality because we just started our classes like 2 weeks ago. And then finally, we also have the problem of the negotiation, especially that the internet is very problematic. If they want to address a particular problem at a particular time, very urgently, hindi nila magagawa yon. Although they can do it synchronously, they can review it later time, pero the thought processes are cut off. No? The thought processes are cut off, and the disagreements and the challenges that individual members would face, di na-address at a particular time. So that's another problem. And then there is one student of mine na missing in action, no? Students not responsive, no, of the mates. Talagang we have having a hard time. I called the student a lot of times. I emailed him a lot of times, but no response. So that's another problem. And finally, the workload. Some students are having a hard time adapting to the volume of readings, especially that they are not just taking my own course. They're taking a lot of courses, and this is present even with our basic education students. I can observe from my nephew na talagang the modules are the modules would be very cumbersome for them to do. Even they don't understand it when we are having face to face. How much more if they're gonna do it alone without many guidance, no, much guidance. So these are the challenges that were present, no, during the time. But nevertheless, we would want as much as possible to address them one by one. Pero may mga problema talaga. So it's not really surprising to have problems, but we would want to address these problems one by one, so that we can still promote the proper skills and achieve the goals of math ed. And finally, I would like to review the impressions of my students on the whole project endeavor. So in the span of a week, actually less than a week yun, nangyari siya, September 2 kami usually nag-start. I have them submit September 6, but I extended 3 days after. So para 4 days plus 3, 7 days pa rin. So 1 week. In the span of 1 week, they're able to produce the project's output, expected output. But they share their impression to me. No, one particular impression was sounds negative, but I view it as something positive because it talks about cross-cultural experience. Sabi dito, our collaborative task is quite awkward, especially when you are grouped with strangers or two strangers or someone you don't have the same culture of school as yourself and you're not really used to it. So this particular learner explained that their collaborative work was awkward because they don't know each other that much and they don't know how this particular groupmates, him or her, actually responds to ideas or to ideas at that or the attitudes of these particular groupmates. But nevertheless, with that, I see it as an experience or an avenue for the person to basically experience cross cultures. No? Kasi in our institution, may mga iba-ibang cultures, may IPs, may Merenang, may other religious affiliations, and so on and so forth. No? So taga iba-ibang provinces, and so I see it as an opportunity for them to be able to cross these barriers and experience one another's culture. And then they also had impression that they're able to learn. Actually, they found themselves surprised because they are able to learn the lessons independently and gained more knowledge on the topic because they researched on it. They made inquiries about it. How did these number systems came up and how did this contribute to our number systems? And some are actually very grateful that they're able to learn more because of their group mates, no, sharing ideas na hindi nila na-learn or they didn't even think about. And then they're so appreciative of the social experience, no, the experience of being in a community of learners as they did their projects. For example, sinabi ng isa, I think this task went very well than expected. No? You can do a great job. Bahala na daw na hindi nila kilala yung isa't isa, but they did a good job anyway because they were understanding and kind. Something like that. We cooperated well and realized that teamwork is important and can motivate one another. And then finally, sinabi dito, in this way, maybe they can share their ideas compared to face because they are not shy. No, they are not shy to express their ideas on the digital platform. And these are merits, my dear teachers, that making them work on a project, even on a digital platform na wala masyado silang interactions compared to the face-to-face is actually possible. And it proved because of these impressions and of course the outputs that they were able to do. So with all of this sharing of experience, allow me to conclude everything by saying that implementation of modular collaborative projects amidst the challenge of connectivity. As you can see, there's a lot of problems and challenges that came up when I asked the students what are the challenges. But with their study groups. No? Pag-establish ng study groups nila with multiple communication channels, this is very important. They're able to achieve the outcomes of they were able to achieve the outcomes collaboratively. While there is no conclusive and strong evidence of the development, particularly per se, on the standard collaboration and communication skills, there is evidence that the students are fostering their attitude going there. The accomplishment of the task is an indirect proof na nakakollaborate talaga sila. So as for me, the teacher, I feel on my I'm on my third teaching in this InFlex modality and interacting with my students on a digital platform. I am so eager to see them grow, how they would engage with their peers in the span of a few months. So with that being said, my point is that I'd like to have this as a pabaon for everyone. That communication is prerequisite for successful collaboration, thus strengthening our communication channels for students alone, for students or classroom to teacher and teacher to classroom, increases the likelihood of fostering collaboration. And if fostering engagement pala, communication. That's why we would to really find the ways, no, in a particular context, how can we reach out to our students? And then point number two, this is point number three, we can promote collaboration by employing collaborative projects along with study groups. And study groups are like accountability groups. So walang iwanan dapat. So si study groups established to have that kind of various communication channels. And so the question would be right now for all of us, how can I strengthen communication channels? Paano natin ito magawa? So in my case, it worked for me because by exploring all of those communication platforms. Sa inyo, how will you explore? Ano ang ma-explore nyo on these communication channels? And then what project ideas can I promote for deep learning, challenging enough for them to collaborate? So I think that would be the bulk of my answer of how we can promote collaboration in our particular context, where most of us are employing modular approach, self-learning, and of course, flexible and innovative modality. And I think the floor is now open for questions and your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Juniel Medina, for that very insightful talk on InFlex modality. So I think at this point, let us give our participants a few minutes to reflect on the questions that you left them. So give them a few minutes for reflection, and then in a few minutes or seconds, we are now open for questions or concerns or any comments. So you may even write your questions in the chat box if you may. Okay. Who would shoot the first question? Let me check the chat box. Wala, mga greetings lang naman. Let me check. Anyone from the participants? Okay, so Sir Jinil, there's one question there. Is it true that even gaming chat platforms such as Discord are being utilized now as learning platforms?
Yes, I'd like to answer that. Yes, Sir Sherwin, at least on the college level, some of the teachers are utilizing Discord because Discord accordingly utilizes less data compared to other conferencing platforms such as Zoom, Google Meet, and others. No, so at least I'm familiar with Google Meet. I'm familiar with Zoom, and also Jitsi. Jitsi is an open source Zoom-like kind of platform. But I recently discovered that my students are really asking me to join their Discord servers for the reason that they use lesser data daw. No? So that's a claim from them. And I tried, pero yun. Okay. Yeah, so my comment, one of my colleague also said that the 100 MB for an hour or more in Discord. So 100 MB, I don't know, compared to other platforms, for example, Zoom, like you would consume around 1 gigabytes, 1 gigabytes or more in the conferencing. So one of my students even explained na, sir, mag-Discord lang tayo kasi kahit na 20 MB na lang yung message ko, data ko, we can still have conferencing, no, video conferencing. So that's according to them. I'm still exploring. So my Discord forums are still less than 5. So I'm not very confident yet in using Discord, but I'm exploring that possibility. I can still engage them.
There's another
Yes,
one.
thank you. Sige po.
I'm fired up to adopt this and conduct a study in my class using InFlex modality, especially that our university has innovated our own learning management system, which is the MVLE. What can you say about that?
Yay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Rika. I am also I'm in the same page as you. I am very excited to basically document the whole experience to gain insights even more on how we can even promote larger, so we can dream a bigger dream, no, on how we promote collaboration and other skills. In fact, how do we promote them in our particular time, no, today sa in our respective colleges and institutes. So yun. Looking forward po to share ideas with you when you are done documenting your own experience.
Okay, another one. Thank you, Sir Junil, for that insightful sharing of ideas. I'm thinking about developing a collaborative project as their final assessment for junior high school students.
Yes, Sir Raf. Actually, Sir Raf is also my partner on one of the researches that we made on making students do collab projects. So one of our papers is the basis for this approach. And so, Sir Raf, I'm looking forward for your project as well. I hope to collaborate with you on that regard if I can help. So thank you so much, Sir Raf.
Thank you so much, sir. This is from familiar name, Janice. One thing most applicable to me as elementary teacher is contextualized problem-based learning module. I hope I can make it in our own context since we are provided with modules that are mostly explicitly presented. I hope I can make it. Is it possible to use only SMS as our modality considering that most of our learners do not have access to internet? Sir Janil.
Yes, Ma'am Jan. I do not dare to claim to answer the question if is it really possible, because I don't know much about the context. But this is what I learned also, that using SMS, we can periodically try and reach out our students to basically, if we can call them up better, to basically check on them. No? Although in my elementary days, this is my own experience. In my elementary days, I think grade 6 or early high school, I already can and try uh, text my classmates. No, if I know their numbers, I can text to them and ask them questions regarding the assignment. And that can do. Siguro mo dyan, it will be helpful if we can try to assess if some of them even have SMS, and then try and make mechanisms for them so that we can encourage them to text their friends, text their peers, when it comes to sharing their ideas. Siguro medyo foreign pa for them, pero we can try. No? This is a very promising. This is a promising approach that we can do with our elementary students, especially those on the intermediate levels. So 4 to 6, so they can already text their friends or call them if naa may resources na possible for them to call and to text. So yun.
Another question here, sir, from Markson Mejia. Thank you, Sir Janil. How can we assess the authenticity of the student's output answer in the modular approach?
Okay, so thank you so much, Sir Markson, for asking this question. Indeed, I'm still trying to address the authenticity. Indeed, this is a very big issue actually, no? Kasi we don't want that may output naman sila tapos di naman sa kanila. So yeah, uh, this is what I did. I tried to parang narinig nyo na ito. One of the inputs, if you can check it out, assessing learning in the new normal, talk also by the series by Dr. Amelia Tibuan. She mentioned there that we can apply triangulation, but I'm still having a hard time doing that. What I did anyway is that aside from me assessing their outputs, they have their individual submissions. So lahat sila individually nagsasubmit sa akin ng accomplished exercises. True, pwede nilang makopy uh, anywhere. That is a possibility. But I made it sure that my resource is not internet ready. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang na search readily on the internet. So I try to find books na di na masi-search masyado on the internet. So that's one precaution that I made, especially on my course. No? Pangalawa is that I also did, for example, in the area na on the collaboration. So there is a possibility that only one among them will do the whole output all by himself, no? So ang ginawa ko is that I made them answer ang tawag doon, peer rating na blind, parang blind item, so something like that, no? Na lahat sila nag-assess ng kanilang classmates if they are able to talk with one another and if they are able to have contact with one another in doing the project. So my there is really a chance. I just finished grading them yesterday, kagabi, and found out that there is really one particular groupmate na hindi talaga was not able to collaborate with them. So hindi ko pa na-assess ano yung reason, but I was able to find out that particular groupmates not doing, no, or not collaborating with one another because of that peer rating. So that's another measure that I did to address the authenticity na talagang they are working together and that they are really learning, no, at least, no, at getting the outcome for the module. So those are the two things that I can say to somehow ascertain the authenticity of their output. But on the larger point of view of assessment, hindi ko pa siya nagagawa, and my expertise is on that particular area. So siguro we can have that at that. Tapos if you have a question siguro on the student output is we can have more discussions on this, Sir Markson. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think all the concerns, all the questions have been addressed sufficiently by our resource person. So no more questions coming in. So at this point, we would like to thank you, Mr. Junil Medina, for accommodating our request to be a resource person. So we hope to engage you again in our future seminars. So once again, thank you. Let's give Mr. Medina a warm round of applause. Thank you all for participating, and of course, thank you to Mr. Jonil Medina for sharing your time and expertise. So we hope to see you again in our future webinars. Continue to check our website at our FB page, Science Teacher Academy for the regions. And also, I'd like to invite you to check once we open to the public our website. It's called e-star.ph website, where we will post announcements and a lot of information regarding STEM in that website. So muli, maraming salamat and a pleasant morning to all of you. Thank you.